You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I don't know about you all, but I had this feeling of here we go again in this one. Syracuse basketball, I thought, controlled the first half for the most part, and yet it was a tie game. And as I expected, Boston College uses that late momentum from the first half, hitting a buzzer beater 3 to tie the game into the second half, and they end up with a 54-46 lead with 8:51 to go. That is an 8-point deficit for Syracuse. And it was looking like it was going to be another embarrassing road loss, especially to Boston College. Really, Boston College? But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? In case you missed the game, or you might have turned it off in frustration, and I'll be honest, I don't blame you if you did. But you might have missed a heck of a comeback. Syracuse basketball goes on a 33-17 run to end the game. And it was sparked by a 10-0 run where each point that was scored had a very common theme. All right, I'm not going to get to that theme. I'm going to just describe the run to you all. And then together, we will discuss the common theme of that run. The first 2 points of this 10-0 run were scored by Cuffe, who got to the basket and hit a layup. The next 2 points were scored by Lampkin in the low post. He converts a layup. Then Cuffe attacks the basket. He doesn't convert, but he gets fouled. Hits both free throws. On the next possession, Jyare Davis in the low post. He bullies his man. His man falls down. Davis turns around and gets an easy layup to drop. That's an 8-0 run right there. And then to cap off the 10-0 run, Starling gets his own rebound after a miss, attacks the basket, and hits a very pretty right corner floater for the 10-0 run. And Syracuse basketball, after trailing 54-46, now suddenly leads 56-44. What was the common theme? I asked you all. Feel free to comment in the comment section below before I give you my thought on the common theme of that run. You know what it was? I hinted at it. They attacked the basket. This team is so much better when they are attacking the rim. I felt during certain moments of this game, Syracuse basketball got a little bit 3-point happy. We saw in the first half, Lucas Taylor, who's been really hot over the last few games, hit a couple of threes. Jaquan Carlos hit a wide open 3-pointer in the first half. It gave Syracuse an 8-point lead. But in that moment, they hit 3 consecutive threes on 3 straight possessions, which I don't know the last time they did that. But after that, it seemed like Syracuse got a little bit 3-point happy. They started settling for a lot of those shots, which you don't want them shooting the basketball. They're not a very good 3-point shooting team. In that 10-0 run, every single point that was scored was either scored at the free throw line and or by attacking the basket. So keep attacking the rim. That's where they are best at. So after the 10-0 run, and Syracuse has a lead in this one, the two sides, they exchange blow for blow, and Syracuse basketball with 3:53 to go leads 59-58. You know what that means? It's going to come down to late game execution. And let's go over some of the big time moments down the stretch that led to a Syracuse victory. I want to start off this discussion by talking about Cuffe, who was a big part of the 10-0 run that I just referenced. Cuffe hit a critical, it was actually his second 3 of the half. The other 3 was when it was really a 13-2 run, but it didn't really fit the 10-0 run narrative that I had for you all, but that's okay. I left that out. It's fine. But Cuffe, off an inbound play with Syracuse leading by 1 point, hits a wide open left corner 3. I felt that 3-pointer, and let me know if you agree or disagree with me on this, I felt that 3-pointer really set the tone for how this game was going to go down the stretch. As soon as Kyle Cuffe hit that three-pointer, Syracuse led by 4 points. Even though it's only a 4-point game, the feeling of here we go again to all of a sudden feeling like, oh my goodness, I think Syracuse is really going to win this one. That's the moment when that occurred. Kyle Cuffe hitting that three-pointer to set the tone for the end of the game. And now, I think we need to have a conversation about Eddie Lampkin in a good way. See, Eddie Lampkin during games, I tweeted this out at LO_Syracuse on Twitter, that Eddie Lampkin at times can look like Wilt Chamberlain for a minute, and the next minute, he looks like Kwame Brown. That's kind of how he is. He can be very inconsistent during games. But Eddie Lampkin, a career 55% free throw shooter, makes 4 critical free throws down the stretch. He goes 4 for 4, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it's not about the percentages, but when you simply make it. It's about being there when they count. And I got that reference from Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal, as many of you guys might know, was a terrible career free throw shooter, but he's one of the greatest centers of all time. He was a terrible free throw shooter. But you know what? In the 2006 finals, Game 3, Miami Heat against the Dallas Mavericks, he hit 2 critical free throws down the stretch that led to Miami's comeback in that game when they were trailing 2-0 in the series. And he basically said, I will be there when they count. And he makes both. Eddie Lampkin, obviously not the same stage as the NBA Finals, but he was there when they counted. The first set of free throws came with 1:58 to go, with Syracuse leading by 6 in a 1-and-1 situation. 1-and-1 situation, it's dicey. Because if you miss that first free throw, you don't get an opportunity to hit a second one. It's 1-and-1. And he calmly knocks down both. And then with 34.5 seconds left, Syracuse once again still leading by 6. Eddie Lampkin fouled in a 1-and-1 situation. He makes both. 4 for 4 in the final 2 minutes from Eddie Lampkin. Well done. Well done making free throws when they matter the most. And then you got J.J. Starling. And I'll be honest with you all, there's not one singular moment that I can point out from Starling down the stretch in this game because he was just simply spectacular. He had 12 points in the final 8:51 of this one, and he also had 2 assists. He was Syracuse's best player, and you could just tell that late in the game is really where they missed J.J. Starling the most. That's where they missed him. Because he's the type of player, I think he is the one player on Syracuse that can score basically at will. He can score on command. He can create his own shot. He's pretty decent in the mid-range. He is a blur when he goes to the basket. Not a great outside shooter. I don't like him settling for threes, but that's just being nitpicky. Down the stretch, he had to be Syracuse's best player, and he definitely was Syracuse's best player. So those were some of the big moments that Syracuse had in their comeback victory over Boston College.